G'day guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I am featuring the third piece I've reviewed from Undone. So you've seen me review the Urban Vintage a while back, and then most recently it was the Undone Tropical vintage inspired age dial watch. And then this one is the third one that I've reviewed. So let's get into it. This one says the Urban, and indeed this is a piece that is also named the Urban. But you know, the manual that does come with it is actually more like the Urban Vintage movement. So it doesn't actually apply directly to this particular watch. This one again is a Urban Vintage picture there. But this watch here is different to those ones. So let's just show you the watch today. So guys, this here we have the Undone Urban Regatta, and immediately you notice it's quite different to what I've featured before. This is not so much a vintage style piece, so much as it is a modern yacht timing regatta style watch. So this one is kind of inspired by yacht timing watches. It's a yacht timing themed piece, significantly inspired, of course, also by Speedmaster cues. I mean, look at the bezel, the hands, and the hour markings there. You can see a lot of Omega Speedmaster in this. So this one is apparently going to be a limited edition, and they have listed this for $325 for I guess a more standard piece, or you can get a name engraved for $350. I'll put discount codes down the bottom as applicable to my channel or anything that I can find. So do have a look at the bottom if there are any discount codes that I can locate there. So look at the case back there. In fact, this one they have put my channel name on here, as well as limited edition 1 of 200 pieces. I don't think this is actually a real number 1 of a limited series. In fact, that's just because of this collaboration piece that I have from Undone. So in here, the movement this time is actually Seiko VK83 mechanical quartz hybrid flyback chronograph. Okay, so it is a quartz movement. You can see the second hand ticking away there at the 6 o'clock subdial, but it is also a mechanical quartz hybrid with a flyback feature for the chronograph. So immediately, let me just start that. And you can see it is a central chronograph hand. It is 1/5 second central chronograph hand, and it's got a 20-minute totalizer at the 9 o'clock position. That's kind of divided into 4 different segments of 5 minutes each. I think that kind of relates to regatta yacht timing. I'm not very knowledgeable on that, but that's what they tell me is related to yacht timing, yacht sports, racing there. Okay, so that's really the chronograph function there. There is no hour totalizer. It will stop timing after 20 minutes, and that hand there will stop at the 20-minute, and that will be the end of the chronograph here. Okay, so it's got that totalizer at 9 o'clock. It does have a 24-hour subdial here at the 3 o'clock position. And then you've seen that 60-second small seconds at the 6 o'clock position here. So moving on to the case here. So the case here is 42 millimeters 316L steel. It is 12 millimeters thick, so it's pleasingly relatively thin, actually, in my opinion. The lugs are 20 meters in between there, and it has a lug-to-lug distance of a 48 millimeters, which is essentially, it is an identical case to the Tropical, which I have here for a side-by-side comparison later, and the weight actually is also exactly the same at 66 grams on the scale, so pleasingly light there. Right, so moving on to the actual description of the finishings, right, the tachymeter bezel there that you can see is brush finishing, right, just like it was before. On the side, as it was before, alternating brush polish and vertical brush sides there that you can see, right? So some detail and effort they've put into the finishing, which is something I really appreciate about what they've done for this watch. The case back itself, right, just take a look at the case back. It is a friction case back, it's not a screw-in case back. It does have a custom name there, but otherwise it's got N17 with Undone collaboration, and that's a kind of a youth yacht racing kind of division. Okay, so it's got that, and then the limited edition you've seen there, NACRA 17, if you want to look up more details about the N17 division. Around the side, water resistant to 30 meters, 316L stainless steel and whatnot. Okay, so that's the case back there. So with that pushing case back, Right, plain pushers, nicely signed crown that you've seen before, but it's not a screw-in crown. The water resistance is rated at 30 meters for this watch. Okay, so that's really the case description. Now moving on to the dial there. So it's got a matte blue dial that you can see there. It's got circular texturing for the small seconds. So hopefully that comes through. I don't know if that lighting will show the circular texturing, as well as the 24-hour sub-dial. But the totalizer, 20 minutes of totalizer is just printed. There's no actual pattern relief there as far as I can see. Right, baton hands, and it's got lume on the hour and minute hands as well as the hour markers, but not on any of the sub-dials or the chronograph central seconds. So the chronograph doesn't function in the dark, or at least doesn't let you read it in the dark, but you can tell the time in the dark. That's really what this function is. Right, above that is a domed K1 mineral crystal, as you've seen in all the Undone watches that I've featured. It does have some nice kind of a refractive kind of distortion features, which I really like about this crystal, how it behaves here. Okay, so that's the case description. Moving on to the band here, what we have here is a blue tropical style leather strap, so calf leather, blue tropical style strap with a brushed steel buckle, nothing more than that, and that's kind of like very similar to what they've offered in the past. So guys, that's the description of the watch. Let's pop it on for a wrist shot now. And there we have the Undone Urban Regatta on my 17 centimeter wrist. So remember, that's a 48 millimeter lug to lug. It is kind of pushing the limits. Those lugs do stick up quite a bit, but I think it's still acceptable on my wrist size there. Okay, so that's really how it looks. Pretty much identical to the Tropical, if you've seen the Tropical review already, in terms of its weight and its feel and its size. So, you know, what have I found to be good about this? I think it's a fresh sport-themed Speedmaster inspired concept, you know, a yachting concept, which, you know, really, you know, it's quite nice. You know, the fresh blue I really like. I purposely choose the blue one for this review. You know, they do come in other colors, but I prefer the look of this one. It's kind of got like, kind of just a more youthful, sporty look. And it's got all the great design elements. You know, I think the pusher design, the crown design, you know, the dial layout. This one is a more sporty one, of course. It's not quite as vintage type of look as this one clearly is. This one's more youthful, more fresh, more sporty. I kind of like that. You know, it's got that Speedmaster bezel. And it's got, you know, that tropical band. Not bad at all, I think, overall as a package. Those are things that I like about this particular watch. And not to mention also that dome crystal. That's also a nice touch. What's the weaknesses in this particular model? Well, look, it's supposed to be a yacht timer, but there's no actual yacht timing function. You know, after it hits 5 minutes, there's no buzzer. It doesn't stop. It doesn't let you know that it's gone to 5 minutes, 10 or 15. I've tried it all. And just to show you now that it's a flyback chronograph, you can see it's reading 5 minutes and something. If I press the reset button, it will go all the way back to 0. Okay, you saw that jump to 0 and the chronograph hand has gone straight to 0. That's the flyback feature here. Okay, so no actual yacht timing audio or visual indicators apart from you looking down and seeing that it's past the 5. It's 30 meter water resistance. I've said that on what is ostensibly supposed to be a maritime watch. You know, I'm not sure about that. You know, this kind of a yacht-themed watch with 30 meter water resistance seems a bit incongruous to me. So you know, I think I'll make a note of that for people who want to consider this for yachting or any type of water sport. It's not really a water sport watch. And then lastly, I'll say, if you look at the markings on the chapter ring, all right, they're 1/4 of a second, whereas this is actually a 1/5 of a second chronograph hand, second hand, right? So that's a little bit odd that they chose to put quarter seconds there. I mean, this one, so this the Tropical, is more congruous, right? Look at those seconds there. They're actually 1/5 of a second markings, and that's what really this should have been. So I'm not sure why they went with quarter seconds there. That's just a bit of an odd choice. They should have gone with 1/5, I reckon, because of this movement. So, you know, that's really the things I've noted about this watch. You know, some significant weaknesses compared to its cousin or brother, the Undone Tropical here, right? Tropical Caribbean is this particular model, right? And just let you see it side by side, exactly the same shape, dimensions, and weight. It's really the dial layout and the movement hands that are different. Okay, so guys, there we have it. That's my review of this Undone Urban Regatta. Out soon. I'll put links below to the launch pages and sites to purchase this. Let me know what you think. This quite interesting. In my experience of Undone watches, this is a variation really of what they've done before. Let me know your thoughts on this particular model. So guys, if you enjoy my videos, do consider subscribing. I'm putting out new content every week, always aiming to be objective and unbiased about all things horology. Thank you again for sticking with me, and as always, I'll catch you guys next time.